Hello, welcome, and thank you for watching this month's Tarot Talk. I'm intuitive reader, Bryan Stafford from Stafford Tarot. I'm just going to adjust my camera angle here so you can see some of the more of the cards. There we go. Welcome. I'm Bryan Stafford, intuitive reader from Stafford Tarot, and today is a special edition of Tarot Talk because our topic today is going to be discussing many forms of divination other than but similar to tarot. So I'm really excited about this, and then afterwards I'm going to be offering some free short tarot readings for anyone interested that shows interest in the chat. In order to give some time for those to join, I'm just going to talk about what's new at Stafford Tarot, and then some upcoming events I'll discuss that's coming up in the near future, and then we'll get right into that topic. So what's new at Stafford Tarot? In order to find that out, you can always check my website. I'm always updating the website, www.staffordtarot.com. And right now the website has 3 new pages recently added that go over some services offered. So there's now a new section for individual services, which are the intuitive readings, sort of for one-on-one or conjoint couple readings, the private sessions. And then there's a new section for corporate services, which involves the workshops and group events that I'm offering. These are more towards like employee appreciation, retreats, group problem solving. Those are some of the options that are available. And then I also have a section newly added for distant remote services. And so the difference between remote services and distant remote services is that during a remote session, you're interacting with me directly one-on-one through a video conferencing platform, such as either Zoom or Facebook Messenger, where we can talk one-on-one, and you get the opportunity to give feedback and ask questions right during the reading. And I usually do a bird's eye view down on my table so that you get to see the cards in the way that they come out in the layout used. A distant remote reading is more like a pre-recorded reading that is sent to you in a video. So it's sort of more like a subscription service that's available, or it can also, I've had it been used for like personalized video readings for like gifts. Some of the new offers that are available are for like special occasions, like if somebody was graduating or had a birthday or getting married. A video recording of a reading with their information could be sent to them directly as a gift, and then they have an opportunity to respond with either a question or a redirect, and then I do a follow-up. So I'm really looking forward to offering that out more. It's really been enjoyed by those who have participated so far. And then there's always the blog on the website, where anyone who wants to learn about tarot for themselves can go and get helpful tips and suggestions. And there's even short introduction video lessons for those who would like to learn or get started. So some of the upcoming events that I should talk about that are going to be available soon are, I'm going to be doing another free draw for a chance to win a free tarot reading. It's a short 15-minute reading that you win. The draw itself is going to be happening on Monday, March 20th. It usually happens between 9 and 10 a.m. So just check that out. Information is on my website. And how you get involved, you simply like, comment, or share any of the posts that are mentioning the draw, and you're automatically included in the draw for a chance to win. The next new moon oracle card pull is going to be happening sometime before Tuesday, March 21st. Excuse me a moment. So watch my website for that. It usually gets posted right on my website at the front page in the events section. And then the upcoming Luna Crystal and Psychic Market on Saturday, March 25th which will be open from 4 to 10 p.m. I'm really looking forward to this. I really enjoy going to the markets. If you're coming to see me directly, please feel free to let me know that you're going to come see me at the market, and I can add you to the list if you know what time you're going to be there. Just show up at the time if you would like to do that, because I fill up fast. Once the market opens and people start coming by, I put a sign-up sheet on my table and people can register for certain readings at specific times while the market is open between 4 and 10 that evening. So just give me a heads up and I can sign you in, or just arrive ahead of time or on time for when it opens, for a chance to get into that list, that sign-up list, or receive a reading right away if I don't have anyone. There are, I think, the first 30 people who enter get a swag bag that has all sorts of special items and gifts inside from the vendors themselves. So really exciting event. There's going to be over like 40 other vendors there. We usually take up the entire venue. It's going to be happening in Guelph at the Victoria East Golf Club. The Victoria Park East Golf Center. So check that out. The address and other information is available on my website. And then the next full moon oracle is going to be happening sometime before Thursday, April 6th. The reason why I say sometime happening before for the oracle card pulls is because I usually release them a day or two ahead of time before the new moon or the full moon. It gives a chance to sort of give a heads up for the energy that's approaching, and also gives time for people to receive it, to see it online instead of after the fact when the full moon's already happened and then you see it like the day or two later. It's not as helpful as receiving it as it approaches. Excuse me, the energies are significant for the day before, the day of, and the day after. So just keep that in mind as you're watching or following along with those oracle pulls. And then the next Tarot Talk live event will be happening Tuesday, April 11th, starting at 8 p.m. I'm looking forward to this Tarot topic as we will be discussing past life experiences and exploring those past life experiences using tarot cards. So very interesting. I'm looking forward to that. However, tonight's Tarot Talk topic is actually about the many forms of divination, and I'm going to focus on these, some of the other forms of divination that I am capable or able to do myself, and I do offer some of these forms as a service through my website. But some of them are similar to and other than tarot. So it'll be an interesting topic, and I'm just going to get right into that. Hopefully we will start to get some viewers. Keep in mind, please, that anytime you can request a free reading from me, because after the Tarot Talk topic discussion, I will be offering free readings to those who are interested in following along. So if anyone is watching, just please write into the comments or let me know that the comments are working. There have been previous live events that I've done where the comments did not show up during the event. And so it was really unfortunate because some lost the opportunity to actually request free readings from me when I'm offering them. And I really want to just be helpful, and surprisingly, I do offer a lot of information in a short reading. I do go through the readings fairly fast. Messages just kind of come to me quick, and I deliver them as is. I try not to hesitate on those messages just because I'm following my intuition and keeping my own objectiveness myself on a back burner. So I tend to just deliver the messages as they're read. So I get through a lot of information in a short amount of time, which is why I can do a full tarot reading within 30 minutes. Now, during the time, I should just explain quickly that during the time that I do give readings, I basically right now only charging for the amount of time that the reading is happening. So while I'm flipping through tarot cards and discussing the messages coming from the cards, that's what's being paid for. Any discussion of, beforehand of information about me, or if you have questions about me or how long I've been doing this, or anything that you'd want to know, or anything you want me to know before the tarot reading begins, is not included in that time frame. Same as any discussion that happens after the tarot reading. If you want to share details of the reading afterwards, which some do, which is fine. Some don't, which is also fine. I'm totally respectful of that. I can get through a whole reading without really knowing the question or topic, as long as you have that focus. And the cards will give and deliver the messages that need to be heard. And I'm just the interpreter between you and the cards, or you as my client and the cards. So tonight's tarot topic is other forms of divination. And I'm just going to start with the two decks that I have here. Similar to tarot, tarot is a form of divination, but it also dips into other forms of divination. For example, and I talked about this at my last tarot talk, which was a tarot talk topic on using cards for mediumship. So this is my mediumship deck, and it does exactly that. It uses, it's an oracle deck that allows me to connect with my mediumship, connect with spirits and energies around me. So that is one example on how tarot can mix in with other forms of divination. And if you're interested in that or more about mediumship, just go on my website and look at the previous tarot talk. You can go into the blog and change the category to live broadcasts or previous live broadcasts, and then you can see all of my broadcasts so far, and the last one was on mediumship. So another example, this is my astrology deck. It's the Living Wheel tarot deck, and it is exactly that. It's tarot that mixes astrology. So these decks are very beautiful for different phases of the moon, different seasons of the year, different zodiacs, signs, houses, you know, all the different houses, astrological, and then the planets. So all the planets, you can see it has the symbol and then the planet on it, and the nodes. And this is an excellent resource for understanding astrology, in the way that what I tend to do is I do an astrological spread where I form the zodiac in its right, and place the planet cards and in their actual positions with the sun and the moon, and then you can get a sense of the energies and what's to come based on which cards are reversed and retrograde, which cards are non-reversed and going forward, and where areas of the zodiac they're traveling through that have the effect on our lives. And then I can do the same thing with birth charts, where I use the houses to house cards to organize where they fit in with the zodiac and with the planets and all of that. So that's really interesting. That can be a lot of fun to get into, and I do those kinds of readings. I usually offer them within email, because I basically just show an image of the spread plus your birth chart and go through those details with you once I know the date and location and time of birth. So speaking of zodiac, I also have zodiac astrological dice, and astrology dice can be really fun to work with. There's one dice that has astrological zodiac signs, and then another dice that has the planetary body signs, and then there's usually a numbers dice for the houses. And there's I have 5 dice for this because you can use 3 dice for the like an individual reading, or you can use 5 dice for like a couples reading, like if you're looking at like astrological, like if you're fit, or conflicts, or if you're compatible. Those kinds of readings can be done with these dice, just using the different numbers of dice to represent the different people and where they sit. And then I can show you, I have pendulum. Now this is my personal pendulum. And the way that you use a pendulum is you charge the pendulum with your energy, ask it a question, and based on the way that it sways, it gives you an answer. So as you can see, it's already started moving. I have not encouraged the pendulum to move. It's just kind of swings on its own, and eventually it swings to a point where you regain information from it. So you're really reading the way that it swings, and sometimes people have different ways of reading it depending on how you personally work with the pendulums. I personally ask the pendulum before each reading to show me what a yes looks like, show me what a no looks like, and then it moves into those positions, and then I ask my question and watch for those results. Then similar to pendulum is the dowsing rods. Now these dowsing rods, they're not like the wooden traditional dowsing rods that you would hear in like Wild West movies, or but it is a form of divination, in the sense that these can pick up energy, and you can read the energy based on how they swing. So if you hold them in front of you as straight as you can so that they're balanced, and keep them balanced, they swing freely. And you can use these very similar to a pendulum, in the sense that you can ask it a question or get direction. So like if let's see if I can do this, because I'm not too bad at using them. See, I'm trying to get it to show me where the recording is taking place, like where is the direction of the... Okay, sort of working, they're not really. Oh, there we go. So they're kind of pointing to the... kind of getting there, almost. So they're kind of pointing to where my camera is. But you basically charge them. You can use these to find information. You can use these to find lost items, direct you in a way to go. And it's really about reading the energy that's around you. And you're reading your own energy in the same way that you do the pendulum. What are some other results? In terms of astrology as well, I do give tea leaf readings, and this is an example of an astrological cup, or a I can't remember what it's called now, but it's basically like a cup to work with tea leaf readings. There's designs and specific areas within the cup that you watch for. Now, these kinds of readings I do specifically for myself. I don't offer these as a service, but I do offer tea leaf readings using a regular teacup, where I'm basically reading the tea leaves from within, not following a grid or a pattern, but actually using my intuition to read the patterns of the tea leaves. I would put loose tea into the cup, I would pour water, and I would offer it to steep to my sitter, who would then drink the tea until there's only a little bit of tea left in it, and then I would swish the tea around and pour it into the saucer and leave it and let it dry for a moment. And then the tea leaves that get stuck all around the rim of the cup is what I would read to get the impressions for the symbolisms and aspects of the reading. So they would usually be based on a particular question sometimes, and then I can read the symbols to see how they associate to the answer to the question. Another way that you can read simple yes or no is with special shells. These were suggested to me by a very good friend of mine and mentor, and I've never gotten a wrong or incorrect roll from them. Even when I suspect that that's not going to happen, it ends up turning out to be correct. So what you do is you basically ask them a yes or no question, and you roll them similar to dice and roll them out. And all of them flipped reversed down, such as this. This is reversed down, this is reversed, or this is flipped up. So if the shell opening is up, it's up, and if it's down, like the shell opening is down, it's no. And so if all of them are down, it's an absolute negative no. If one is flipped up, it's a no. If two are flipped up, it's like possibilities, yes or no. There could be opportunity here, but it's a yes. And then three flipped up, it's an actual yes. And then four flipped up, it's an absolutely like go for it, or like manifest. And so these have been really interesting to just kind of play with and toy around with and ask questions. And I do take it very seriously. I've actually gained quite a lot of respect for that divination form. And then I have witch runes. Now witch runes these are personally made by me, where they're just sliced pieces of wood, and each one has a symbol on it or a rune. And what you do is you take the bag and just kind of draw out which rune speaks to you or you're guided to, and then read the symbol. You can also hold them all up and cast them onto the board or onto a surface, and then read how they land depending on if you follow a layout or a grid. You can cast them, or you can just read them individually. So then I have, I can show you something that's similar, which is my runes. Now I do offer this as a service as well for rune readings. And what it basically is some of them are stones and some of them are chips. And the stones have actual Anglo-Saxon or Viking runes engraved into them. And the chips, so you can see the other stones, they all have different symbols for different aspects, and then the chips have the witch runes on them. So you basically can use this in the same way as the other witch runes, where you hold the bag and pull out a stone for each reading. You can place the stones into a layout similar to tarot, or you can cast them all onto one spot, and depending on how they land in relative to each other is how you read the messages that come from the tarot, from the rune casting. So these rune stones specifically are a bloodstone. They're a type of jasper, and I use them because that kind of stone is very grounding and helps with just kind of being grounding during the reading. And then I also offer charm castings, and charm castings have been really interesting. These are basically like charms, all assorted different little charms that you focus on a question, and you cast them into a spot on a table or surface in front of you, and you read the charms in the way that they land. Now this is done very differently from the way rune readings are done, because rune readings fall into a spread or layout and you read them accordingly. With charms, you actually look for one specific charm that represents the client, and you read the charms that are attached and go through the charms based on that. So you're kind of guided by the way the charms have landed, and you read them based on associations that I have with each of them and how they land and interact with each other. So these have been really interesting. They've been really fundamental for some people. I do have some clients that like to do a charm reading to confirm or get affirmation after other kinds of readings, like if they do a tarot reading and a charm reading together, or they do I'll do a charm reading while they're drinking their tea for the tea leaf reading. That sort of thing is just one way of mixing up the services a little. But this is a lot of fun, and each charm has their own association. So similar to tarot, like for example, the sword charm is like heavy thoughts and intellect, which is very similar to the swords of the tarot structure. What haven't I talked about yet? Oh, yes. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about is basically scrying. And scrying is a form of divination that is a little different. It doesn't involve any kind of manipulating tool or any kind of like physical, tangible thing. It's basically looking into a surface that's reflective and getting information to come out from you, from the inside out. Really connecting with your inner self. I use a crystal ball for this. I use a crystal ball for my focus when I do readings, including when I do tarot, when I do mediumship, when I do other kinds of readings, especially if they're distant or remote readings, then I tend to use the crystal ball a little more. I rely on it a little more to create that connection, that energetic connection with my client. And I'm really using that as a divination tool of scrying. I'm scrying the crystal ball to get to pull out the intuitiveness from myself, those messages, getting them to the surface. You can do this. You don't have to use a crystal ball to do this. You can do this with really anything that's reflective that doesn't necessarily show you back. So a really popular tool to use is a black mirror. And a black mirror is basically like a mirror, but it reflects back a dark reflection so that you can use it for scrying. So you're not actually looking at a very clear image of yourself. And others have used like bowls of water where you're looking at the reflections of the water, or you can use ink or dye to color the water to make it darker so that you get that more scrying intuitive pull. There's different ways to work with it. And that's just some of the ways that divination can be done similar to or other than tarot. There are many different divination ways, even more than what I'm mentioning here. These are just the ones that I'm familiar with. But there are all sorts of divination methods and techniques that you can learn about just by searching the internet or learning more about them. But tarot has been my love for divination. It's been my constant support and guidance tool that I've used throughout almost my whole life. And so that's why I offer that as the main feature and service to what I offer. Stafford Tarot really started with tarot readings and then slowly built up other forms of divination as I felt comfortable to release them. I've been doing these kinds of divinations for a really long time, almost as long as I've been doing tarot. I received my first deck here when I was like 12 years old and started doing readings when I was 15. So, there's been a lot of growth and experience behind what I do, and I've only been offering it professionally for the past 3 years now. So it's been a constant growth and development. So, if anyone's interested to receive a free reading tonight, just let me know in the chat that you're interested. I haven't seen any messages yet come up, so I do hope that I'm receiving them. It has happened before in the past where I wasn't receiving any of the messages, or the messages were so delayed that it was really hard to interact with some of the viewers. So anyone who's watching, if you could just say hi or write something in the message to let me know, and then I'll see it come up, and hopefully they'll appear and we won't have any problems. Oh, hi, Tara. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your message. That just lets me know that it's working. And absolutely, I will offer you a free tarot reading. I'll just write your name down, and anyone else who may be watching, if they're interested. I can't, because I'm doing this from my phone, I can't see how many people are watching or who's there. So if anyone else is interested, just write interested in the chat or let me know, similar to the way Tara did. And I will add you to the list and do you next. You're very welcome, Tara. So I'm going to start the way I normally do, with a one-card impression pull from my first deck that I described. This is the deck that I've had since I was like 12 years old. It was given to me from someone who claimed that they couldn't learn it. They spent a lot of time learning, and they said that they just couldn't do it, and they offered it to me to try. And so then I gave it a shot, and 3 years later I was doing readings. I started doing readings for others because they found out that I was doing them for myself, and started learning those third-party associations. Oh, says it's just, oh no. Okay, well, hopefully more will join as I go through. Oh, hi Lori, thanks for joining. That's awesome. We're getting there. We'll get more people. So Tara, I'll start with you. And for those of you who may be just joining, if you are interested to receive a free reading tonight, just write interested in the chat and I'll add you to the list. So I have Tara that I'm going to do next, and then whoever requests a reading from there. And I'll just try and keep watch of the messages as they come up on the screen, and then I'll add you to the list as I go. So if you see me just stop and write something down, it's just probably just I'm adding someone else to the list. So Tara, I'll start with you. I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're at energetically in the moment. And then I'm going to switch to this deck, my Morgan Greer deck, where you'll have an opportunity to ask me for a specific question or topic you want me to focus on, or it can be left general. Quite often when readings are left general, the messages that are important to be heard come out in the cards anyways. So it's up to you if you want to try and refine the reading a little bit. Just let me know. The messages may be a little delayed coming up on the screen. So just try and be patient with me. If you've already submitted your question and I'm looking at the screen kind of dumbfounded or not responding, it could be just that it hasn't come up yet. That has been a common experience in the past. General, perfect. Okay, I'll do that. So for you, Tara, I got 2 cards that flipped out when I was only really looking for one. And so I'm going to go with that, because when they automatically flip out like that, or I feel like 2 cards come flipping out, I just feel like I have to go with the message, like they can be read together. Now, one is reversed and one isn't, and I'm going to show them to you. One is the 3 of Cups reversed, and the other one is the Page of Cups. Now, Cups is all about emotion. And so this is like an emotional state for you to be in, Tara. So let me know if this makes sense. The 3 of Cups reversed often means like when there's something being spoken about you, like rumors or gossip, or something that may be like negative to talk about, or not always negative, but it's not always like celebrational talk. It's usually like rumors or gossip. And then the card that is with that is the Page of Cups, meaning that you just sort of have to take things with a grain of salt, or with a sense of humor, and just kind of like brush off sort of like water off a duck's back. That's really the sense that I'm getting from this. And I feel like that could have to do with the place that you're in now. So let me know if that makes sense, Tara, as I move into your general reading. Thank you, Lori. I'll do your reading after Tara. Okay, good. I'm glad that makes sense for you. Thank you for that confirmation there, Tara. So I'm going to continue on with your general pull. I'm going to do a 3-card pull from this deck to see if we can just get a sense of some of the messages that need to be heard for you. And then if we need to, we could expand a little further. Now, I was noticing when I was connecting with your energy, Tara, with this deck, that the cards were really shuffling a little rigid and not really wanting to go together. And I'm getting the same thing for this deck too, where it's like they're a little unsorted. They're kind of roughly hitting each other in order to get into position. And that can often be a reference for me as for someone who may feel like they could, like, you may not be recognizing your own strength in this, or that you may there may be way more confidence for you that you could exert. If they were more rigid, I would say that you needed more confidence, and I don't think that's what it is at all. I just think that you could believe in yourself a little more. So I'm just going to cut the deck 3 times. And okay, Tara, so the 3 cards that came out, I'm going to show you them as I talk about them and go in the order that they came out, okay? So the first card that came out is the 6 of Swords reversed. And what this card usually represents, when it's this way, when it's not reversed, it can often represent like escaping or taking your heavy thoughts, deciding what you take with you and what you leave behind, and moving on from something. When it's reversed, it can mean that you may be having difficulty moving on from that, or that it's still heavy on your mind and you're still processing these heavy thoughts in order to, you know, plan to move on or to arrange to move on from whatever this heavy thing is on your mind. The next card is the 2 of Wands, and this represents a choice of actions that need to be taken. And usually when this card comes up, it can mean that you have to choose, and you have to actually foresee the outcome of the choice that you make now. So it's like you have to understand what the consequences are going to be, no matter the choice that you make. And then the last card that came out is the Death card reversed. And what this card often means for me when it's reversed like this, Tara, is that there's some sort of change that may either be avoided or not happening in the moment. So if you foresee a drastic change where something is completely ending for something new to begin, and you're not quite on that yet, that's why this card could be reversed. That once you figure out what you need to do to make that change, this card's going to reverse and you're going to be able to let go and move forward. Now, what's really interesting to me about this reading, Tara, is the book-ended cards, the Sword and the Higher Arcana card. Now, usually the Higher Arcana card is the more important message of the reading, and it was about the Death card. Now, death is not about mortality, like passing away. It's really about anything that you have to let go of or completely end in order for something new to begin. So quite often it can mean like a transformation. In the same way, the reason why it's symbolic as death is because in order to move on to your next life, you have to pass away. So, but the card is not meaning mortality. It's meaning the symbolisms behind that. And so that card really stands out with me to go along with the 6 of Swords, in the sense that you're needing to move on from something that's heavy on your mind. And once you're able to, you know, flip this card around where you're working through these heavy processes and then you're off to sort of find better ground. Once you flip that around, you're going to be able to make that change, and this card's going to automatically flip around too. The real trick, I think, what may be for you, Tara, is this action that has to be decided on. Which action do you choose, and having to foresee the results of it before you decide. Let me know if that makes sense for you, Tara. Given that this situation seems rather on the cusp, so to speak, you know. Okay, thank you for that confirmation there, Tara. I'm just reading some of the messages. Thank you, Tara, for the confirmation there. It seems like to me in this reading that as soon as you decide the action that you're going to take to move forward, knowing how it's going to unravel, that is going to then give you the process to work out those heavy thoughts and get into the mindset to go through that transition. Now, when I look at this reading and bring it back to where you're at in the moment, I could see this being hard if the change is following you, or what you need to let go of is with you. For example, with the Three of Cups reversed and the Page of Cups, basically saying even though there's gossip, you sort of have to look at it in lightenedness, or with a sense of humor, or with some silliness. I really think that that can be a hard spot to be in, to have maybe something be said about you and not be able to acknowledge it, and just have to like, fine, I'll just like, whatever, it's not my responsibility to correct them. But that can still be a difficult position to be in. Does that make sense for you? Let me know, and I'd like to expand on this a little further with some advice. I think it would be appropriate to use my Zen deck, given that this deck gives excellent advice towards how we interact with the energies around us, and that's really what it sounds like you're up against. And so I hope that this deck can give you some good advice on this situation, whatever's drawing from this deck, from this reading. Okay, thank you, Tara. I see your yes there. So I'm just going to do a 3-card pull from this deck, and I'm asking it for advice using the same energetic expressions from this whole reading so far. So I'm asking for advice on the cards that have come out, and most times I'm able to get sort of confirmation from the advice given the situation. So we'll just see here. I'm just going to cut the deck. Okay, so the 3 cards that came out, 2 of them are like heavy thoughts and intellect, and one of them is, oh sorry, 2 of them are like emotional, and one of them is like heavy thoughts and intellect. And so I'm going to start there with the emotions, okay? And I'm going to start in the middle just because I feel like this is a strong message that needs to be heard, and it's the projections card. Now, the projection card is really more about feeling one way inside and projecting something different. In the example of the image here, they're projecting that they're happy, but you can see in the reflection they're actually not. Well, he looks angry and he's projecting happy. She's actually happy and projecting angry. And excuse me. This really speaks to like how you present yourself, that you may not be presenting your actual feelings on the surface, and so you may be creating this sort of distorted projection of yourself, or not allowing people to read you fully or get a sense of where you're at. A lot of times this card can come up either if you're projecting yourself in a different way, or someone else is projecting themselves onto you in a different way. So just keep that in mind. Hi, Ange. Thank you for your message. Ange, I will definitely add you to the list after Lori. So you'll be 3rd. I'm just doing Tara's reading, then Lori, then Ange. And anyone else who may be interested in a reading, just let me know by writing in the chat. Okay, Lori, I can do that. I'll flip your names around just because you requested it. So Tara, does this make sense? Someone else's. Okay, so quite often that card will come up if someone else is reflecting themselves differently than what they're feeling inside. And so the next card that I want to focus on is the Go with the Flow card. It looks like this. And it really represents sort of what it's suggesting here. To just kind of like put your feet up, float in that river, and go with the flow. Don't go against the current. I really feel like the advice here is not to throw yourself into this situation. Just kind of go with the flow. And I do see that kind of represented in the cards, in the sense of the 6 of Swords, that you're sort of, off to, once you solve those heavy thoughts on your mind, you'll be able to find the escape, or to leave that situation. And I really think that you just need to take your time, go with the flow, right? Allow yourself to work out what you need to. And then the last card that came out is an intellect card, and this is the burden. I'm trying to get it so it shows clear. There we go. So this is the burden. This is like heavy burden. So this isn't something that's light. This is something that you're carrying on your shoulders. In the image that's used from the tarot, you can see you're this person here carrying the other person who has ridiculous stuff to carry. And it has nothing to do with you. And it's just a burden. I'm trying to get it clear without that shining. There we go. So you can see the image sort of there. You know, that person is climbing uphill with the other person sort of on their back, and they're like ridiculously overdressed, overstocked, carrying way too much, and ridiculous stuff like a rooster on their head. So that's basically describing like I think you need to lighten your shoulders. I think you need to not carry that burden. I really feel like the cards are really suggesting for you to recognize the burden. And the reason being is what stands out for me in the image isn't the person that's represented as being the carrier, but the other things that he's carrying. And I really think that maybe need to be coming to more light for you, that you need to maybe recognize for yourself the burdens that are taking place. There may be more for that than you realize, which can often suggest that it's more impactful on you than you realize. So working that out, I really think there's just a lot to think about and know and decide the action that you're going to take next. I do hope that that was helpful. Let me know, Tara, if you have any questions about this before I put the cards away. And then I'll move on to Angie. So let me know, Tara, if this just makes sense for you, if you resonate with this reading. I really appreciate when people, they don't often, but if I'm like in left field or just not making sense, it really is important to me that the reading is associating and making sense. Okay, awesome. Thank you for that confirmation, Tara. I'm going to put the cards away. I do hope that this reading was helpful for you. I do get a sense from you, Tara, that you're headed in the right direction, that you may be feeling like this is a negative situation now, but I do get the sense that it does lead to some positive results. I'm just thanking the cards as I put them away. And Angie, if you're there. Is it Ange or Angie? Did I pronounce that right? If you could just let me know, Ange. And if you have a certain topic or question you'd like me to focus on, just let me know what that could be. I can either do it on a topic, like an area of focus, or I can do it focused on a specific question, or I can do it just general like I did for Tara, because like I said, quite often the messages that need to be heard will just present themselves in the cards, but it's sometimes nice to refine the reading if you're looking for something specific. Okay, thank you for letting me know that, Ange. So I'll start with a one-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're at energetically. And then I will focus on your question, topic, or general reading using that deck in the same way that I did for Tara. So do you have a specific question you'd like me to focus on, Angie? Okay, I can definitely do a general reading. When there's sometimes a lot going on, the general reading can be suggested or advised, just because, like I said, the important messages that you need to hear will just come out in the cards anyways. So the card that I get for you, Angie, and we talked about this in the previous reading, is the Two of Wands reversed. Now, quite often this card, when it's reversed and in an impression pull like this, it can mean that you're sitting in a position where you have this choice to make, but because the choice is reversed on what to do, it's like you have to solve this missing piece or gather that missing information. Or once you figure out what it is that you're choosing, the choices are, then you have to make the choice. The card will flip around and you'll make the choice. Now notice that the person in the image, just the same as the other deck, he's holding the world in his hand. So this person needs to make a choice and understand how the choice changes and affects their world before they make that choice. It's like foreseeing the outcome of your decision or foreseeing the consequences of what you decide before you decide. It's almost like there's a need for that. Does that make sense for you? It's so true. Okay, so I'm going to leave that on the table, and then we're going to do your general reading with this deck. So I'm going to do it in the same way where I'll do a 3-card pull for you, Ange, and we'll read the cards as they come out and relate them to each other to get the messages. And then if it seems helpful, I can expand on it a little further using an oracle deck or another tarot deck to kind of refine the reading a bit. I'm just reading some of the messages here. Okay, so I'm just going to cut the deck. So for you, Angie, 3 cards that came out. I'm not going to go in the order that they came out. I'm being drawn from this direction over for some reason. And so I feel like the energy of this reading is just going in a reversed, it's almost like going against the current, like it's going in a reversed way than what you're either attempting or what is against you. And so the first card that I need to talk about is the 10 of Swords. Now you can see from sort of the grim image of this card that it's really, swords represent heavy thought and intellect. And you can see here how much the heavy thoughts are pinning this person down. And I feel like what this is really telling me, and just how much is actually on your mind, how much you're actually going through, how much is actually on your mind that it's pinning you down and stopping you from moving forward. And what makes me feel like it's stopping you from moving forward is the next card, the Knight of Swords reversed. And it's sitting right beside the 10 of Swords. Now, quite often when the Knight of Swords is reversed, it can mean one of 2 things in this kind of reading. So let me know which resonates with you, Ange. One of the things it can mean is actually like avoiding an argument or a really tough conversation to have. Knights are like the, excuse me, the action takers. Excuse me. The knights in tarot structure are sort of the action takers. They're the ones that get the ball rolling. And when you have a Knight of Swords, swords is like heavy thoughts and intellect. So when you get a ball rolling on heavy thoughts and intellect, quite often it can mean like a fight, an argument, a conflict. When it's reversed like this, it can either mean that you've avoided that fight or conflict, either by being strategic or you've avoided, you didn't get involved. Or it can mean that I really get the sense from the first meeting actually for you, or it can mean that you've already been through this heavy fight or conflict and things have sort of resided, or so you're no longer dealing in it anymore. I do get the sense for you, Ange, though, that it's more the first one, that you're heading towards this heavy fight or conflict or argument, and you're sort of avoiding partaking. It's almost like not worth it. And then the other card that came out is the 9 of Pentacles. Okay, thank you, Ange, for that confirmation. So the 9 of Pentacles reversed for me really speaks to not having everything in your world that you want or that you would like. My goodness, I keep getting a tickle in my throat. Whenever I do these lives, it just kind of happens. I'm manifesting my mother. She's coming through. So, back to your reading. Sorry, Ange. This card, when it's reversed like this, it can often mean like not having the things that we want in our life. When it's this way, it can mean like having those things. Like when you look at the image, the character on the card has this, fancy robes, and she's in her fancy garden, has her fancy fruit with her exotic pet. And it just goes to show like the luxuries that are being enjoyed. When it's reversed, it means that you're longing for those luxuries. You want to add things to your life. You may have a certain aspect or a certain way of you. Excuse me. I'm terribly sorry. You may have already a view or a goal. Excuse me. My goodness. So, my point is, if you don't have everything in your life just right now, Ange, know that it's doesn't, just because this card came out reversed doesn't mean it's not obtainable. It just means that you're not there yet, and that you need to sort of build up the things that you want in your life in order to achieve it. And when you do that, the card will flip around and you'll be sitting in this position and you'll have these luxuries of your life. Now, when I look at these three cards as a whole, Angie, I do see that this is obviously a challenging path. I mean, you have two reversed, one not. The two reversed cards are really challenging situations to be in. Not having everything that would make you happy in your life, and then avoiding this confrontation that you're heading towards, and then these heavy thoughts that are just wearing you down. I mean, I get the sense that this is related, that, perhaps, and this is just a suggestion, Angie, so let me know your thoughts on this, because it's your perspectives that are going to create the insight here. If you do have this heavy acknowledgement, if you do go ahead and proceed in this argument, you may be able to get some of these, off your mind to then work out those heavy thoughts and intellect. Now, that I don't know if that relates to you or if you can resonate with that. It sounds like, so quite often the path is the journey, or the journey is the lesson itself. And I get the sense for you that something needs to happen here in order for you to move forward. So let me know if that makes sense. I'm going to expand on this a little further. I'm wondering if it would be helpful to use my heart chakra deck, because it really gives great advice from an in-person perspective, like what we need for ourselves from a heart chakra. Okay, thank you for that confirmation there, Angie. I do see your message there. Totally resonates. I appreciate that. Lets me know I'm on the right track. I'm going to do a 3-card pull from this deck. I think that it would be helpful, just because of how challenging this is, and given that the 9 of Pentacles is reversed, I really think that this card could be helpful, because it's based on what we need and want for ourselves, and then you're in this position of not having everything that you want and need. So I'm going to do a 3-card pull, and then we'll relate those cards to themselves to get that advice. Just cut the deck one more time. Okay. So 3 cards came out, and all 3 cards are reversed. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean negative messages or negative experience, because this deck really does look at what you need for yourselves in terms from the heart chakra energy center. And what's really fascinating for me, and I'm going to draw to this first because one of the higher arcana cards that came out in this tarot structured deck is the throat chakra reversed. So it's really fascinating when the heart chakra deck points to another energy center. And what it's suggesting is that your throat chakra may be imbalanced. That either your throat chakra is too open in the sense that you may say something that's not going to help you, or that you may be more opinionated than you need to be, or that you're communicating way more than you need to, or that it's imbalanced in the sense that it's not open enough. So you're being too quiet, you're being too like soft-spoken, or you're not standing up for yourself enough. So I will let you, Angie, decide which one that resonates more for you, but there is definitely an imbalance in terms of your throat chakra in comparison to all your other energy centers. Too quiet. Okay, so that makes sense for me, that that the balance can either go either way. And given that you've avoided this this argument or confrontation, it would make sense to me that it would be that way. So thank you for confirming that. Okay, that's important. Being able to speak your truth can be awfully relieving and empowering. And I really feel like that in doing that may help you in relieving some of those heavy thoughts from your mind. So the next card is the sort of the embodiment suit, and it's the 7, which is like spiritual embodiment, and it's daydreams and decisions. Now the card is reversed. I'm trying to show it without a glare. There we go. The card is reversed, so it's really saying that you're not connecting with your daydreams and your decisions. So like this is more about like what you want for yourself and what you where you want to be headed. Like when you daydream about your future, for example, you have to make decisions in order to lead to that daydream, or to lead to that dream, or have that dream come true. Even when you manifest, if you use like magical workings and you want to manifest something, you still have to follow through with the guidance and results to actually have it come to fruition. And I really feel like that's what this is speaking about, is that if you could just connect more with what you want in your dreams, you may be more confident to then speak and to sit in your truth. And then the next card that came out is the 8 reversed. This is like intellect and what's on your mind, and it's the helpless and hopeless card. Now, this is reversed, so keep that in mind. And we did ask for suggestions to this, and so what are advice to your reading. And so I really feel like what this is saying is don't feel hopeless, don't feel helpless. If it was reversed like this, I would be like, revisit that for yourself, because you may feel hopeless and helpless. But when it's reversed like this, it's saying don't feel that way. The suggestion and advice is to step into your strength here. And I do see that based on these 3 cards. You know, as you've said in your wording, Angie, speaking your truth, making those decisions that lead to your dreams, and don't feel hopeless and helpless in this. I really feel like that hopelessness and helplessness may be where you're at that's stopping you from moving forward. Now, when I bring this reading all the way back to the beginning where we started, Angie, with the 2 of Wands, making this decision of actions on what to do next and how it's going to affect your world, again, that could be what's preventing you from moving forward, is that helplessness or hopeless feeling. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that it's given you some insight and perspective to move forward. I'm just reading some of the messages here. Okay, awesome. Thank you for that confirmation, Angie. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to put the cards away and just thank my deck. And then I'm going to do Lori's reading. Lori, if you're still there, let me know. And anyone else who's interested in receive a reading tonight, just let me know. Just write interested in the chat and I will add you next. reading some of the messages that have come up. Hi, Janet. Thank you for that message. I will definitely help you out. I'll give you a reading after Lori. Lori, thank you for your message saying that you're there. I'm going to do your reading, Lori, with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're at energetically in the moment, in the same way that I did for Angie. And then I will move to this deck where I will do a 3-card pull for your reading. Now, do you have a specific question or topic do you want me to focus on, Lori, or it can be left general, as it sort of showed in the last 2 readings that I just did. Quite often the messages just come out that need to be heard anyways. So if you have a specific question or topic, or leave it general, just let me know how you'd like to proceed. General. Okay, perfect. So as I said, I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck. And Charles, thank you so much. I did add you to the list, so you'll be after Janet, and Janet's after Lori. So you're 3rd away in the list to receive a free reading. So Lori, as I was shuffling, this card just automatically flipped over, so I have to go by that. I did actually do a previous Tarot Talk topic discussion on jumper cards. And that's what this is. It like jumped out as soon as I connected with your energy. Now, I'd already started connecting with your energy, so I feel like this message is important, and it is for you. And it's the Knight of Cups. So as I've already explained tonight, knights are like the action takers of the tarot structure in this deck, and cups represent emotions. And so this is like taking action based on emotion. And so there could be something that you're contemplating on, or something that you're moving forward with, and it's like emotional. So this doesn't necessarily have to be like emotional like it's upsetting. It can be emotional like it's freeing, or that it's rewarding, or that, you know, there are different ways that this could play out. So let me know how you if you resonate with that, and I'll start your general reading, and then when we do your reading we can look back at where we started. So I'm just going to do a 3-card pull from this deck, as I've been doing for everyone else. And then if we need to, or we feel like it may be helpful, we can expand on that further using either an oracle deck or a tarot structured deck that I have here. Okay, thank you, Lori, for that confirmation. Okay, I'm just going to cut the deck 3 times. One more time. I felt like the cards were getting themselves in an order there. So the 3 cards that came out, interestingly enough, 2 wands and a pentacle, and you have 2 reversed, 1 not, and I'm going to start in the order that they came out. So the first one that came out is the Page of Rods reversed. Quite often this card can come out for someone who's figuring out the next step, or the action that they need to take to move forward. Rods are represented by actions or things that need to be done, and pages are like at the beginning of a path. They have to get on the path to move forward. When you think about the tarot structure in a deck, in a tarot deck, the court cards, there's a king, a queen, a knight, and a page. The king and queens are the ones sitting at the top of the hierarchy making those strong decisions. The knights are the ones taking action based on that, and the pages are sort of considered the messengers. They sort of get the ball rolling because they get the message from the king to the knight in order for the knight to take action, or for the knight to then get on task. So pages are often represented as being in a position of getting onto some sort of new path, or deciding what actions you're going to take to move forward. Now notice that the page is still sort of contemplating. It's kind of looking at the wand, sort of like contemplating, or like mysteriously, like, how does this work? And so that's where I feel like that stands out for me in this, and that's where I feel like you're still in the process of making that decision, of deciding what action you need to take moving forward. Or if you've already decided on a decision, you're sort of contemplating that. And then, hi Letha, I just added you to the list after Charles. So you're fourth in the list. Fourth away. So the next card that I have here, Lori, is the Two of Pentacles reversed. And quite often this can mean like a balancing of two aspects of either health and finances. So this can be an aspect of like two financial aspects, so like home and work, or two jobs. I do get the sense that this is more about like health and finances. Let me know if that makes sense for you, but there needs to be a balancing. And because this card is reversed, it's basically suggesting that you're having trouble coming to that balance, that it's not balancing out in the way that you anticipated. And then the last card that I want to talk about is the King of Rods reversed. And so really interestingly enough, we have a Page of Rods not reversed, and we have the King of Rods reversed. And so what this is really meaning is the King of Rods, sort of as I explained, they're sort of the ones that make the decisions and sit into the throne and make decisions in the best interest of the people in their reign or in their realm or their kingdom. And rods represent the actions that need to be taken. So when it's reversed, it's almost like there's something that's preventing you from making those decisions. You need to decide what to do next. What's the next task? And you're not able to sit in that throne right now. Now, as soon as you receive that missing information, or you figure out what it is that you need in order to make that decision, this card will flip around and you'll be sitting in the king's position in that throne, then making the decisions moving forward on what to do next. But until then, it looks like this, where it's reversed and you're not able to move ahead on that decision. I do get a sense that because this is beside the Two of Pentacles reversed, that it has to do with this balancing. If you can figure out this balancing, that decision, these cards all flip together and that decision will be made, or you'll be able to sit in that throne in order to make that decision. Does that make sense for you? Okay, perfect. Thank you for that confirmation, Lori. Just looking at some of the messages. Okay, I've added you to the list, Apexa, and so just be patient, and when I get to you, I'll let you know. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to expand on this a little further, Lori, to see if it can offer some guidance or suggestion. I get the sense that this is more about, because there's the actions and the balancing, and you're really sitting in this emotional action taking in the moment. I'm gonna do the the advice pull similar to what I did the last reading. So a 3-card pull from this deck. This is my heart chakra deck, and we're just gonna see if we can get some advice from this deck, because it really gives good advice coming from what we need or want for ourselves. And I really feel like that might be helpful for you, given how your cards have come out here. I'm just going to cut the deck. And for you are 3 cards. What's really interesting about these cards that have come out is the middle card is a higher arcana card. So this is the more important message out of this reading. And then it's bookended by this thought card, and then this what you need for yourself card. And so I'm going to start with the higher arcana card in the center, and it's the observe card. It looks like this, and it represents sitting back, observing. This card is similar to the World card in a regular tarot structure. In this structured deck, the Observe card is really about observing your world. What is it? You're figuring out what it is that you want in it, what it is that you need, the different aspects of your world and of your life, and how that sort of fits in. Then we have the One of Thoughts, and this is the Clarity of Belief card reversed. Trying to get it where it's not gonna, so I can show you the card without it. There we go. So when the card looks like this, when it's reversed, it can often mean that you there's something that you don't believe, that isn't clear for you, that you need to clarify. Clarity of belief is like, if it was the other way around, I'd be like, you know, if it was this way, I'd be like, you believe in this, or you believe in yourself, or there's this clarity of belief in what you're doing, or how you're going about it. When it's reversed like this, it can mean that you're not totally clear, or there's like, I don't want to call it confusion, but maybe cloudiness. But there's some sort of aspect to not, you know, the clarity of belief just isn't materializing. And then there's the 3 of embodiment, which is share the love card, and it's reversed. So when this card comes out like this, it can often mean that either you're not sharing the love, or the love isn't being shared with you in the way that you expected. So I'm not sure which one of those would you would resonate with, but that card is usually one of those meanings. And when I look at these 3 cards as a whole, there's this almost like a disbelief, and then the share the love being reversed. I almost feel like these 2 cards are connected, in the sense that if you just flipped them both around, you'd gain clarity and be able to share the love. Until you can do that, they're reversed. And what's going to help you do that is observing your world, observing what you need for yourself, observing the different aspects of your life. When I look at this reading as a whole, and I bring it right back to the beginning, again, this emotional action moving forward, I can understand why it would be so emotional given the advice that's come out and the way that the reading has been said. Perfect. Let me know if this was helpful for you, Lori, or if you have any other questions about the way the cards have come out. Given that one card was upright and then 2 cards reversed in your reading, and then when we did your advice poll, you got 1 card upright, 2 cards reversed. And I really feel like I get a sense from this reading that part of this may be that you're a little against yourself, or that there's something that you need to, I don't want to use the word defeat, but something that you need to defeat within yourself in order to move forward. And I think that's going to help you create this balance that's not materializing. It's going to help you figure out what action you need to move forward with, and then that's going to help you sit in this throne and make those decisions moving forward. So I hope that was helpful, Lori. I'm going to put the cards away, and I'll move on to Janet. Janet, if you're still there, I can start your reading. Okay, thank you for that confirmation, Lori. I really appreciate that, knowing that that you're resonating with those messages and that I'm on the right track. Hi, Marie. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see you. Welcome. I'm just decharging and thanking the decks. And then I'll move on to Janet. Janet, if you're still there. There you are. Okay, I can definitely do a general reading for you, Janet. Thank you for that. So I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're at energetically. And then I'm going to pull 3 cards from this deck, and that is where I will do your general reading, where we'll pull 3 cards and see how they relate to themselves. So for you, Janet, I get the 3 of Wands. Now this is based on your impression pull, so this is sort of telling me where you're at energetically in the moment. And what this really says is that there are these choices that you have to make, and it's really about putting certain choices behind and moving forward with certain choices. Wands represent actions, and when you see the image in the card, he's holding on to one of the actions, and one of the actions is put behind him, one of the actions is put off to the side. And so it's really about making the right choice for you, the right action to take to move forward. Hi, Marie. Thanks so much. I did add you to the list. So I will do you when I get through this list. I have Janet, Charles, Aletha, Apex, Marie. So let me know if that makes sense for you, Janet, and then I'm going to move forward with the 3-card impression pull. Or this is the impression pull. I'm moving on with your reading, a 3-card reading. We're going to look at a short reading just to see how the cards relate to themselves and what messages need to be heard. Okay, I'm just going to cut the deck 3 times. And so for Janet, for you, I got the 3 cards, Ace of Pentacles, the 4 of Wands, and the 6 of Cups. Now, this is a very encouraging reading, and I'm going to go through card by card, and maybe you'll understand why. The first card that came out is the Ace of Pentacles. It did not come out reversed. And so what this is really saying is that there is this new, either this new way of looking at health or this new way of finances that's come to your attention. You can tell that it's sort of like coming out of the clouds, like it's revisioned or realized. And it either represents health or finances. I do get the sense that this is more about finances, but let me know your impression of that, Janet. The next card that I have is the 4 of Wands. And this represents stability and happy home and finding structure in your life in regards to your home. When you think about the number 4, and taking action, it's really about like every house has 4 walls. It's about that stability and that grounding and that security. And then the next card is the 6 of Cups. And quite often this card comes out for like childhood memories or like having memories of the past. And so when these cards are together, especially these 2 cards kind of speak to me, I get the sense that there's these childhood memories in relation to this structure, this stability. And then there's this new way of finances. There could be something from your past that's going to help you move forward with this new idea. Now, when I look at these 3 cards together and then I look back at where you're sitting now, you may be in the cusp or in the process of making this decision. How do you move forward with whatever action you need to take? And the way forward really looks quite pleasant or positive. I really think that you're going to make the right choice for yourself, Janet. Right. I just read your message about you have some choices coming up, and that's exactly what this card is representing. The situation or the energy that you're sitting in now are these choices of actions that need to be made and deciding which ones you move forward with and which ones you leave behind. Thank you for the confirmation on that, on the way that these cards have come out. I'm going to do a 3-card advice pull for you. I'm wondering which deck to use. Given how this reading has turned out and the choices that you're leading are kind of leading to a positive place, I wonder if my Sacred Destiny deck would be helpful. This deck has been really helpful in helping people understand the portion of life path that they're walking. And quite often, if we understand that, we can understand why this is happening. And so I'm just going to do a 1-card pull. It's sort of like a 1-card impression pull, but I'm really getting an impression of the life path, the portion of life path that you're on. And so I'm asking this deck to give us the best description of that portion of life path that you're walking. And we will see then if it makes sense to what's happening here. I do see a message there. Oh, I totally could understand that, Janet. I can imagine, especially if you find your security. What I like about your question or your description of what you just said and what this reading could be about is the 4 of Wands, that this card really is about finding security and structure in a happy home. And then there could be something from your childhood memories or from your past memories that could help you with this. So when you said you've moved several times already, and so moving's hard for you, so there could be something from your experience in moving that will help you move this one more time. I'm just going to cut the deck 3 times. And so the card that came out is the Truth card. Now take note of the image in the deck. I'm trying to get it as clear as I can. Quite often when I use this deck, my sitter or my client will say to me, oh, I dreamt that, or that has significance because of this, or someone has a tattoo of that I know, or that's involved, or like there's usually something of significance in the image. So just take note of the image and let me know if anything speaks to you from it. For me, what stands out in the image is the wind, and the amount of wind that's blowing the grass and the tree and the clouds. And it's really like finding the truth for yourself. You're drawn to trees. Oh, that's awesome. So it's really interesting that this card has come out for you. If you analyze for yourself what that means for you, the relationship with trees, or how you're drawn to them, and for the reasons that you're drawn to them, that may be helpful for you throughout this. May be helpful with your move or finding structure and stability. This card really is about that structure and stability, as the wind is not blowing the tree down, right? It's just really, the tree is in its element. And nothing is going to go against the tree that's going to stop it from being there and growing. And that's what stands out for me in this card. Quite often when this card comes out for someone in this type of reading, when we asked it for advice to describe the portion of life path that you're on, it can often mean that perhaps previously you weren't able to find that stability, or you weren't able to find that grounding. And so your goal or your drive is to do exactly that, to find that grounding, that stability, and the truth for yourself. And it's really about inner truth on what it means for you, not what it means to anyone else, but what it means for you. Does that make sense for you, Janet? When I look at this reading all the way back to the beginning, again, it makes sense to me that because you're in this position of these choices, and the choice that you make is really going to lead you in the direction. So as long as you make the right choice for you, that feels the best choice for you, the outcome is going to be what's best for you. So I do hope that was helpful, Janet. I'm going to put the cards away, and I'm going to move on to Charles. Charles, if you're still there, just let me know. And if you'd like a general reading, or if you have a specific topic or question you'd like me to focus on, just let me know that as well. Thank you, Janet, for letting me do your reading for you. You're very welcome. So Charles, are you still there? Awesome, I see you. Okay, I will definitely focus on that. I'm going to first do a 1-card impression pull from this deck. Oh, thank you so much, Ange. Oh, no, it's Apexa. Sorry, I read that wrong. Thank you so much, Apexa. So Charles, I'm just focusing on your question here. I'm going to do a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's going to tell me where you're sitting energetically in the moment, and then I'll use this deck to go over your question. What I'll do is a 3-card impression pull, or sorry, a 3-card pull from this deck, focusing on on that relationship. Okay, and then we'll see how the cards describe the relationship, and that's going to help us move forward. Perhaps we can look at expanding the deck from there. So these cards just didn't want to flip, and I felt drawn to them, and there were 3 cards that came out for you, Charles. I feel like they're connected, and so I'm going to read them together. Okay, the first card that came out, actually what I'm going to talk about is the Higher Arcana card that's in the center of these 3 cards, because I feel like it's the more important message. It's the 20th card of the Higher Arcana, and it's the Judgment card. Quite often this card can come out this way in an impression pull when someone is too hard on themselves, or something is too hard on them. There's a lot of judgment going on. There's a lot of, and feeling like, yeah, really quite often it's about being too hard on yourself. So just keep that in mind. The card beside that is the Queen of Pentacles, and this is about stepping into a place where you can make decisions in the best interest of others around you, and this is either health or financial decisions. So let me know which one speaks to you in that. I get the sense it's sort of connected to both. Let me know how that resonates with you, Charles. And then the next card is the Two of Pentacles. Now, we sort of talked about this card already in a previous reading, that the Two of Pentacles is really about finding balance with 2 aspects of either health or money. Now, I am drawn to sort of health and money for you, Charles, and so I get the sense that that's what this balance is about. It's kind of balancing your health with finances and just finding the happy place, or the happy medium in that. Can you resonate with this, with the messages that have come out of this impression poll? Now, this is just where you're sitting energetically in the moment, not necessarily about your question. Finance. Okay, so you find that you're having this balancing of finance, which makes sense in terms of the Queen of Pentacles. You're sitting in the throne and making the decisions based on finances moving forward. So I'm going to keep those 3 cards on the table as I pull the actual reading from this deck. I'm going to choose 3 cards, read them together. This is going to be based on the relationship that you mentioned, and we'll go from there. So for you, Charles, I have 2 Higher Arcana cards, 1 reversed, 1 not, and so that often says to me that there's like guidance that may be missed in this. And then there's a 3rd card, which is a tarot structure 5 of Pentacles, and it's reversed, and I'm going to start there. The 5 of Pentacles really represents sort of feeling taken advantage of. It can often mean, like when it's this way, it can mean like feeling taken advantage of, or being in a situation of poverty, or unfair, being treated unkind or unfair, or being injured, like being fractured in some way. When it's reversed like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're sitting in that energy, but that you're not being taken advantage of, that you're not being disillusioned, or you're not being injured, or that you're not being like treated unfairly. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I always cough during these lives. Maybe it's all the talking. So what I find really interesting about this is right beside that card for you, Charles, is the Sun card, not reversed. So it came out sitting up the way that it's supposed to. And quite often the Sun card can mean like an expression of healing and power. And so I really feel like when I asked this card to describe the relationship that you're describing, that you described to me, it's really talking about this healing that's happening, and then this not being taken advantage of, or feeling like not being taken advantage of. And then the last card is the Death card reversed. So not initiating some drastic change, not giving up, not passing off something old to move on to something new. Thank you, Apexa. That's what I have in my mug, actually, is some water to help with that. Thank you. I think you're correct. I think you're right. I think it's just from the amount of talking and just my throat's drying up from it. So does that make sense for you, Charles? I'm going to put these 3 cards here, keeping them in mind. Now, I'm going to ask, I think I'd like to use my heart chakra deck to expand on this a little further, given that your question was really about a relationship. I'm wondering if this deck would be helpful in giving advice based on what you want and need for yourself. So I'm going to pull 3 cards, and then we'll look at how those cards relate to themselves to get those messages. Just going to cut the deck. And for you, Charles, I have 3 cards, very different from each other. And so I'm just going to go in the order that they've come out. And the first one is reversed. The 2 other ones are not. The first one is reversed, and it's Opportunity Beckons. It's the 4th card in sort of the embodiment suit for this tarot structure deck. And what it really represents is Opportunity Beckons reversed, meaning that I don't think you need to look for the opportunity. I think the opportunity has already been presented to you. Then in terms of what's next is the 4 of, this is like emotion, and it's joy and stability. So what it's really, can I get that any clearer? There we go. So what it's really representing in this card is what you need for yourself, and that you need joy and stability in this relationship. And then the next card is really about the chance that you're taking. It's win or lose and putting it all in. 5 can be like, it could go either way. And so I really feel like for you, it's sort of this like chance that you feel you're taking where you could either win or either lose. Quite often when this card comes up, it's a chance that's worth taking, because if you actually win, if you actually benefit from the decision or from the relationship, then it was worth doing. And if you lose, there's usually a lesson involved in that, which can make it worth going through. So just keep that in mind, Charles. I hope that that's helpful and offers some advice for you moving forward. When I look at this reading on generally and bring it right back to where you're at in the beginning, drink more water. I get the sense that this isn't necessarily fully related to where you're sitting now. In other words, you're sitting now in a situation that may be different from your question or what we've come out in the reading. Now, I do think it's related, or it wouldn't have come out this way, but that there's a lot happening for you. There's more happening for you than what the reading is suggesting. That's the impression I get from that. Does that make sense for you, Charles? Okay, I'm going to put the cards away. And I really hope that that has offered you some new perspective or insight, Charles. It seems to me like the relationship could be very positive. And I think you just have to take that chance and trust. I'm just shuffling and thanking the cards, and then I'm going to move on to Aletha. Aletha, if you're still on the call, let me know. And if you have a topic or question you'd like me to focus on for your reading, or we can leave it general. That seems to be the way everyone's going tonight. It's really the way to go if you have a lot going on, or if you feel like you have more than one question and you can't narrow it down. A general reading is really helpful in the sense that what you need to hear is what's going to come out. So Aletha, are you still on the call? I just want to make sure you're there for the reading. I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're sitting energetically. You're very welcome, Charles. Thank you. I do see your message there. You're welcome. Thank you for letting me do your reading for you. So, Aletha, I'm going to start with your reading. I'm just going to pull a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's going to tell me where you're at energetically. Hi, Liz. Thanks for joining from London, England. I can't imagine what time it is for you there. Hi, Mariana. I really appreciate that you would like a reading. I'm reaching my limit on the amount of people I can add to my list, so you will be the last person that I give readings to tonight. So unfortunately, I won't be able to give more readings to others who are interested. I have Aletha next, then Apexa, then Marie, then Mariana. Okay. So let me know. Hi, Aletha. Thank you for that. General is good. Awesome. So I'm just going to do your 1-card impression pull. I feel like it's ready here. And for you, Aletha, I have the Hermit card. Now, this is a higher arcana card in the tarot structure of this deck, and so I feel like it's an important message that needs to be touched on, and it's really where you're sitting at energetically now. So this is about, the Hermit card is really about sitting into your own and going within and making decisions all for yourself. It's really about you, it's all based on you, and it's all falls on you, or it's all for you to decide, or all for you to... It's like when someone goes introverted and they close down and they go inside. That's where I feel like you're sort of feeling or sitting in the moment energetically. It's this feeling of the Hermit where you need to sort of escape internally, that you need to sort out your own emotions, your own feelings for yourself. It's really about doing, like, it's all on you to do. That you're the only one that can really help with the process of where you're sitting. Does that make sense for you? This card can come out for different situations. For example, if somebody was like being reclused and going internal that way, sort of like introverted, that can be one meaning for the card. Or another way that this card has come out that I've seen is where you're really sorting out a lot for yourself, and there really isn't anyone else but you that can sort out all that stuff that you're sorting out. Does that make sense for you? I feel like I need to shuffle this one more time. I'm going to cut the deck 3 times. Oh, Annette, I'm so sorry. Did I miss you? Did you request a reading and I didn't see it? Oh, there you are there. I do see it. Thank you for that confirmation there, Aletha. So I did add you to the list, Annette. just because you did request it be just around the same time as Mariana. So got the deck 3 times. I feel like this should have been reshuffled. Okay, and the 3 cards that come out for you, Aletha, is interesting. You have 2 higher arcana cards bookending this reading with not connecting with past memories. And so I'm going to go through them in the order that they came out. And I need you to just associate with what resonates with you. Okay, Aletha? So the first one that came out is the Lover's card reversed. Okay, now quite often the Lover's card comes out on the table when there's something that you truly love that you're involved with. Now, when it's reversed, it doesn't mean that it's not materializing as love, or that the love isn't working out. That's not what it means at all. It just means that something is preventing you from stepping into that category or that love. And as soon as you figure out what it is you need in order to step into it, this card's going to flip around and you're going to be off with the Lover's card. But in the meantime, it's reversed, meaning that there's something that needs to happen in order for you to step into that. The next card that came out is the 6 of Cups reversed. And we talked about this card already a little bit, that it's like childhood memories. And when it's reversed like this, it can mean that you're not connecting with previous memories that you've been through, or that there could be something in your past that you're not connecting with that may help you move forward. I do get the sense that this is related more to the next card that I'm going to talk about, and that's the Emperor card. This card did not come out reversed, and it's the Emperor card, and it really represents one of 2 things. Okay, and you can tell me which one resonates more. One, with the Emperor card, is like you sitting in the throne, taking the responsibility and making the decisions as the Emperor would. Okay, or it can mean like a masculine fatherly figure. Doesn't necessarily have to be like fatherly, but like biological father, but someone that you would look up to in that kind of way. I do get the sense that it's more the first meaning for you, that just given the other cards that have come out, that this is really about stepping into your own boundary and stepping into your own power and making the decisions for yourself moving forward and taking on some sort of responsibility. Now, one of the reasons why I'm getting that sense is because you're sitting in the Hermit card now, which would suggest to me that this is all in your head. You're going internal with this. You're working it out. You're probably already sitting in the position of the Emperor to make these decisions. Does that make sense for you? Now, I'm wondering how we can expand on this a little further. Just looking to see if there's any messages. I'm just looking at which deck may be helpful. I'm wondering if the Zen deck would be helpful, given that the Zen deck gives great advice on how we interact with the energies around us, and how you have this sort of doing it for yourself and taking on this responsibility. I wonder if it would be helpful to then look at how we can sort of exchange that surrounding, or how to interact with those energies around you. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So I'm just going to do a 3-card pull from this deck to get that advice moving forward. Okay, thank you for that confirmation message there, Aletha. I appreciate it. Just going to cut the deck 3 times. Okay. Really interesting cards that have come out, and I'm going to go through them in the order that they came out for you, okay, Aletha? The first one is the 2 of heavy thoughts, and it's in terms of friendliness. this is like in terms of like friends or partnership, with the two trees representing when their branches can intertwine. It's sort of like helping each other out and being there for each other. And so I get the sense that that's related to this, that you know, just need to branch out. You need to just connect with that friendliness and that support. So based on your message there, you feel like you are learning to sit into this throne and take on those heavy responsibilities, correct? The next card that came out is the traveling card. 8 represents success, and this card often comes out for someone who has been involved with travel. Traveling, either traveling in the future or traveling in the recent experience, but traveling nonetheless. And 8 is successful. So because it did not come out reversed, I don't believe that the travel has been necessarily in vain, or like there's been a reason for it and a reason to move forward and that to be successful. And then the last card here is considered the Queen of Emotion. And this is the receptivity card. It looks like this. And it's really about being receptive to emotions, being receptive to yourself and what you accept for yourself and how you feel and the impressions that you get. It's about being receptive to that. Quite often this card can be like sometimes it's about not only being receptive to yourself, but being receptive from other people. I do get a sense that this is more about self. And the reason for that is because right now you're sitting in this hermit position. So if you can just sort out these emotions and be receptive of your experience, know that the traveling is going to be successful, and that you can branch off and create these connections. That's the advice to adhere in this situation with you sitting on the throne, looking back at not letting your memories of your past connect you or disrupt what you're doing to move forward, and know that just figuring out this Lover's card, if you could just turn that around, you'll be off to be sitting in the Lover's position. And when I look at this reading as a whole, 2 cards reversed, 1 not, but all your advice is straight up. And I really feel like that speaks positive to where you could, what the potential in this situation is what I should say, that I really think it speaks to the positive potential. Oh, you're very welcome, Aletha. Thank you for letting me do your reading for you. I'm going to put the cards away, and I will just thank my decks and move on to Apexa. Apexa, if you're there. And am I pronouncing your name right? Just let me know. I'm just going to quickly shuffle my decks and thank them for their messages. Absolutely, I can look at that. So I'm going to start with a 1-card impression pull from my first deck here. Apexa. Okay, thank you for that, Apexa. I really appreciate that. I really like to get names correct on the live events, and sometimes the spellings are new to me, either from different culture or coming from, or just different, but that's a very pretty name. So Apexa, I'm going to do a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's going to tell me where you're at energetically in the moment. And then I'm going to move to this deck, and that's where you'll have an opportunity to I'll focus on your question. Now, do you have a specific question you'd like to ask, or a topic to focus on, or we can just leave it blank? Oh wait, you already asked me that. Let me look back. Anxious feelings for me. What's coming ahead? Perfect. Okay, I will definitely focus on that. Sorry. Okay, so 1 card impression pull. I got the Page of Swords reversed. Now, Apeksha, I just want to point out that the Page of Swords, when it's reversed like this, it can often mean that you're not getting on a new path in terms of a thought or heavy intellectual processes that's going on in you. There could be something preventing you from getting on that path. You may have a new idea to move on with, or you may have some sort of thought that can't be manifested or adhered. But as soon as you figure out how to do that, you're going to turn this card around and you're going to be off to create that image, or off to, on that way of thinking, or in that frame of thought. When it's reversed like this, it doesn't mean that that thought process isn't there, but that there's something missing that you need to collect, or maybe it's a piece of missing information, or there's something that you could do to turn this around so that you can then be on the path moving forward. But right now it's reversed, meaning that you're sort of prevented from moving forward with this new idea. And so I'm going to focus on the relationship that you discussed. And what I'm going to do is similar to what I did previously tonight, where I will ask the cards to describe the relationship, and then we can look at moving forward with either advice or getting more clarity on the reading if we need to. Okay, I'm just going to cut the deck 3 times. So for you, Apeksha, I get 3 cards. One is a higher arcana card, which is more the important message, and I'm going to start there. And then 2 other ones are suit cards, but they're reversed, and we'll talk about that. So the card that came up for you is the Empress card, not reversed. And what this can often mean is like this feminine energy of nurturing and responsibility, and that this is really saying that you're stepping into that situation, that you're stepping into that throne, or that responsibility, coming to terms with having that responsibility on your shoulders. Then comes the 7 of Pentacles reversed. Now, when the card looks like this, it can mean that you have this time of waiting and patience to reap the reward of something you've done in the past. So like when you've sown a seed, in the symbolisms of a farmer, when you sow a seed and you take care of it and nurture it, and it grows into a plant, and then eventually it forms fruit, and you get to eventually harvest the reward of all the hard work. That's what this card means. When it's reversed, it can mean that it's either a delayed process for you, where it's really taking a lot longer than expected to reap that reward, or that there's something that's potentially blocking you from the reward, or that the reward may not seem as fruitful as what was anticipated. And then the Knight of Rods reversed can look like this. And it really represents, knights are like the action takers, and rods are like actions to take. And so this is like action of action, really important action to take. And because the card's reversed, it doesn't mean that that process isn't involved, but that there could be something preventing you from taking that really important action. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, and I bring it right back to where you're sitting energetically, this Page of Swords reversed of not getting on with this new idea, and then there's this action that's not materializing. I could understand that if this is related, that would be a very hard place to be in. let me know how this makes sense for you, Apexia. I really feel like the Empress is a really important message here of you stepping into that power. Okay, thank you so much for that confirmation. So, given that this was about the relationship that you described, and I asked it to describe the relationship, I really feel like you're in the driver's seat here of what you need for yourself. And then this may take more time to reap the reward of what you have in mind for this, and know that it's going to be maybe difficult for you to take the action that you need to move forward. That kind of says to me that if you were hoping to like move forward in this relationship, that they may not be quite ready yet and need a little bit of time. Doesn't mean that they're not ever going to be ready or that they're not going to move there at some point, but the action isn't going to be done yet. But as soon as you resolve that, as soon as they are ready, for example, this card will flip around and you'll be off to that very important action. Now, given that this was about relationship, I feel like that the heart chakra is necessary or appropriate for this advice to extend on this reading a little further. And so I'm just going to do that quickly with a 3-card pull from this deck, asking it for advice in regards to this relationship that has been described. And that will maybe give some guidance on moving forward, which was the second part of your question. Just going to cut the deck. And I got 2 higher arcana cards, 1 not, and one of the higher arcana cards is not reversed, 1 is. So that really says to me that there could be some guidance missed on this. I'm going to start with the non-higher arcana card, which is seeking the truth reversed. I don't really think you need to seek the truth. I think the truth is already being offered to you, that you already have the truth, that there's no need to then look for the truth. I think that if something looks or appears misleading, you could probably clear it up and just trust that things are going the way that you feel is true. Now, the higher arcana that's reversed is the heal card. Okay, 17 in numerology breaks down to an 8, which suggests to me that this is like success, and it's healing reversed, meaning that there's something that is not leading to healing, that there could be an avoidance to heal or a difficulty to heal. And I do get the sense that because this is about advice on a relationship, that it's about emotional healing, not necessarily physical healing. And then again, in terms of that emotional healing that's not taking place, there's a release. So the card looks like this. Can I get it clear? There we go. 13 in numerology breaks down to a 4, which is like grounding and finding grounding for yourself. And so I don't believe that there's something you need to heal. I think there's something you need to release and let go. Once you let go of and release that, perhaps it's negativity from a previous experience. Perhaps it's something that's really preventing you from moving forward. But as soon as you can release that, you're going to feel better. You're going to be able to move forward. I think that's the advice that's really being said here, is that there's something in you or on you that you need to release. It's not necessarily about healing, and it's not necessarily about finding the truth. Awesome. I'm glad that makes sense for you, Apexia. Thank you so much for letting me do your reading for you. I'm going to put the cards away. I do hope that that was insightful and helped you gain some new perspective. Marie, are you still on the call? Awesome. Thank you for that confirmation, Apexia. I really appreciate that. You're very welcome. Oh, thank you so much for clarifying that, Marilyn. I really appreciate that. Again, I really like to get the names correct, and the screen that I'm looking at is this tiny little font, and I try my best. Thank you for letting me know. I really do appreciate getting the names right, or being told when I'm pronouncing it wrong. So I really appreciate that, Marilyn. Make a note of that. So, Marilyn, I'm going to start with a one-card impression pull from this deck, and that's going to just let me know where you're at energetically in the moment. And then I'm going to move to this deck. So if you have a specific topic or question you want to focus on, just let me know. Otherwise, let me know if you want to just leave it general. Quite often, as you've seen tonight several times, if you've been watching throughout the beginning, that when readings are left general, they can really pinpoint the messages that need to be heard in the moment. Hi Liz, unfortunately I'm not adding anyone else to the list anymore. I'm doing Marilyn, then Mariana, and then Annette, and then I'll be ending. I have to start putting a cap on the amount of readings that I give in one event, because if I go on and on and on, the event ends up being a little extended, and so but you know what, Liz? I do have a free draw coming up. Check my website, www.staffordtarot.com, and get involved in my free draw. I do offer the draws monthly, and I have one coming up in the next week or so. So let me know if you'd like to get involved in that. There's a high chance that you'll win, because I pick 1 in 5 ratio to win the draw. So Marilyn, do you have a specific topic or question you want me to ask the cards when I do your reading, or would you like me to leave it general? I'm just going to focus on your one card impression pull. So Marilyn, for you, I get the 6 of Wands reversed. What this often means, and this comes up on my table for someone who has something in their past that they're very proud of, but you may not believe it. You may not think that you actually have something you can be proud of in yourself. But this card doesn't show up on the table if you don't have something to feel proud of. So just know that there could be something that you could feel really proud of that you're not necessarily connecting with. So Marilyn, I'm going to do a general reading because I didn't see your message come up. I'm not sure if the message was delayed or if it's not showing up for me. I really hope that's not the case. I'll leave it general in hopes that what you needed to hear does come out of the cards. 2, 3. And the cards that I got for you, Marilyn, is a court card bookended by some suits. And so I'm going to go through them in the order that they came out. Marilyn, for you is the 6 of Pentacles reversed. Quite often this can mean like not being viewed as being fair. Quite often when it's reversed like this, it can mean that like you don't feel like you're being treated fairly. Whereas if it was this way, it would be like where you stand on how you're viewed as being treated fairly and kind and generous. When it's reversed like this, it can mean that others appear maybe they're the generosity, for example. Then I have the Queen of Rods, non-reversed. And this is like deciding what actions to take. Queens are like sitting in the throne, making the decisions in the best interest of others, and rods are like actions. And so this is like making decisions in terms of actions on what to do next. Hi Lizzie, I'm just finishing up some readings, and then that'll be it for tonight. So I'm really sorry. If you'd like to get involved in the free draw for a chance to win a one-on-one remote reading, just check my website, www.staffordtarot.com, and you can look at how to get involved in that draw. The draw will be happening, I believe, next week, but the date and all the information is on my website. And the reason why I like to direct people to the draw if they're not able to get a free reading is because there is a high chance of winning. There's a 1 in 5 ratio. So what that means is during the draw, if I get 10 people, or up to 10 people, I pick 2 winners. If I get up to 15 people, I pick 3 winners. So it's always a 1 in 5 chance. So the next card that came out for you, Marilyn, is the 9 of Wands. Now, this card often comes up. 9 is like the end of a path in numerology, and Wands represent action. And so I see a lot of action in your reading here. And the 9 of Wands represents how your action stands out or looks different from all the other actions around you. Now, given when I look at how this reading went, and I bring it right back to where you're sitting energetically in the moment, Marilyn, I really feel like for you, if you could just recognize what you have to feel proud of leading up to this moment, that will help you move through this situation. Now, given that this is about actions and about you, I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to do a reading with my pagan deck for some advice. It's just a 3-card advice pull where I'm asking advice moving forward. I think this deck would be handy because this deck really does show a balance between different aspects of our lives. So balancing what we need for ourselves and what's happening in the moment for ourselves. And I'm just going to cut the deck 3 times. I almost thought that was a jumper card, but it all came out face down, so. Okay, and for you, Marilyn, I get 3 cards. 2 of them are higher arcana cards, and one of them, coincidentally enough, is the Empress card, and I'm going to start there. The Empress card in this deck is really about the generational breakdown. And so what this is really saying is that you could look back in ancestry, either in terms of motherhood or grandmotherhood, or in like the line of oh, thank you, Liz. Perfect. I'll get that from you later. So I really feel like that is important in this reading, that the advice to move forward is really looking at the energy of the Empress, sitting within your power and looking at the influences of the generational influences that you have around you. The next higher arcana card is the Tower card. And this card often comes out for someone who's like, there's a destructive change. And the card symbolizes it almost like an affair. Now, that's not to say that that's what's happening for you. It's just the symbolism in the card. And what it really stands for is that something has to drastically change, like destructive change. In the symbolisms of the card, it's like a relationship destructing. And traditional tarot, it's usually a destructing tower, quite literally being crumbled. And then the last card that I want to focus on is the Two of Cups. This is really about finding a partnership within yourself. If you notice the image, the person's really sitting in front of a mirror, not in front of another person, and they look completely changed and different. And quite often this can be like our connection with ourselves, our emotional connection, and how we view ourselves. And so I really think that what this is saying is that you need to view things in a positive light. You need to see yourself in a positive light. You need to look for the positivity within you to move forward. Now, when I look at this reading and I bring it right back to where it started, you have one reversed card and the rest are not. And what that says to me is that you may be receiving advice from this, or guidance that you can follow and that you can trust. And just know that when the card is reversed like this, it can really mean that you're just not feeling confident about yourself, or that you're not feeling proud about something that you've done. And so just look back at some of the things that you can be proud of. And I believe that's going to help you move forward. Okay, I do hope that that was helpful and that that resonated for you, Marilyn. And next I'm going to move to Mariana. Mariana, are you still on the call? Thank you so much for that confirmation, Marilyn. I really appreciate that. Okay, so Mariana, are you on the call? I'm going to start with a one-card impression pull for you, Mariana, just explaining or giving me the impression of where you're at energetically in the moment, and then I'll move to this deck. So if you're on the call, if you could just let me know if you have a specific question or topic you want me to focus on. Otherwise, I'll just leave it general, and we'll see how that comes out, because quite often, as we've seen many times tonight, the cards that are left general really just speak to the messages that need to be heard. So for you, Mariana, is the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Quite often this means like not getting onto a new path in terms of health or finances. I really do get the sense that this is more about finances, that if you're not getting on the path in terms of this, either a new job or a new way of making money, or something's not materializing in the sense of finances. So just keep that in mind. Let me know if you resonate with that message, and I'll move forward. I didn't see your message so far, Mariana, so I'm just going to do a general pull for you, a general reading. I'm going to do a 3-card pull, and we'll look at how those cards relate to each other to get that message. And if you have responded, but I haven't seen your message yet, or if I've missed your message, I do apologize. It has happened in the past. So if you're there, just try to let me know. Otherwise, if you've left the call, I do post the calls on, or do the recordings on my website under the Tarot Talk topic. And so you can always re-watch it from there and see how your reading turned out. So 3 very important messages have come out, and I feel like they're quite heavy and strong for you, Mariana. The one that I'm going to focus on is the one in the center, because I've talked about this card before, and it's the Empress card reversed, meaning that it could mean that you're not stepping into some sort of responsibility in terms of this nurturing energy. The other card that stands out for me is the Death card reversed. That's beside that. And I feel like these cards are connected. So not stepping into this responsibility, but not going through this transition either. There could be something for you, Mariana, that has to be completely like let go of in order to move on to something new. And it has to do with this responsibility, like stepping into the power. And then the other card that stands out for me that I need to talk about is the 5 of Cups. Now, this card often comes out in terms of when there's a lot of loss involved. 5 is like numerology, where it could go either way. And 5 of Cups, cups are emotion. And so when emotion can go either way, quite often it's upsetting. There's loss, there's upset. It's really about loss. Like there's a feeling of loss here. And by not going through this transition, I believe encourages that loss or adds to it. So if you could just find a way of flipping these reversed cards around where you can go through this needed transition where something needs to end for something new to begin, I believe it will be worth for you to get to that new beginning. I'm going to do extend on this a little further. I think for some reason I'm really drawn to my Otherkin deck for you, Marilyn. I'm not sure why, but it's really speaking to me, and so I'm going to go with that. I'm just going to ask this deck for advice moving forward. This deck does have a tarot structure, and it also has a nature component to it, and so I just felt like that you may resonate with this deck. I don't know why, in connecting with your energy. So I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to do a 3-card pull, just looking for advice and suggestions in terms of your reading. Given that there's this loss involved in this like transition that hasn't materialized. So the 3 cards that came out for me is a Knight, a Queen, and an Ace. And this is really important. I really feel like this is a strong message to deliver. The Knight of Wands, it's about making decision on what actions to take. Knights are about action and Wands are about action. So this is really important action that needs to undergo. It's reversed, meaning that there could be something preventing you from taking that action. Know that this is an advice pull. And so what it's saying is that you may need to not be so forceful, that you could take this on a little bit more of a gentler path. The next cup is not reversed, and it's the Queen of Cups. This is about stepping into your power and making decisions that are really emotional to make. And then the last one is the Ace of Cups reversed. Quite often, cups represent emotion, and aces are like discovery of a new emotion. And so it's hard to see these cards. They have beautiful artwork on them. So that's what the ace looks like normally. And when it's reversed, it can mean that this new emotion or this new way to feel is not materializing. And because this was an advice pull, I really don't think you need to discover some new way to feel. I really feel like, Mariana, that you have, you already have your emotions figured out, that you don't need to discover some new way to feel about this. Given that the Queen of Cups also sits between the Knight of Wands and the Ace of Cups, it also speaks to me of this, what you're stepping into, this zone of, or like sitting on the throne as the Queen to make those important emotional decisions. When I look at this reading from a whole and bring it right back to the beginning, I do see that, with the Ace of Pentacles being reversed, if this could just turn around. I think that this is also another situation where you're sitting at now doesn't necessarily reflect what's coming out in the reading here. Thank you for that, Marilyn. There was someone else that was on the call, and I'm not sure if they were able to receive the reading that I did for them, but I do hope that they're able to, if they did miss it, that they're able to rewatch or come back and view the broadcast to know that they weren't missed. And finally, but not least, is Annette. Annette, are you still available? You'll be the last reading for tonight. I really apologize to those who requested a reading but could not receive one. I do have to cap the readings at some point in the night. I do try to limit them to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's exactly what I reached. So that's good. But I do try to limit them just because I would be giving readings. I can't give readings all night long. And so it's also doing distant remote readings like this, where I'm connecting energetically using scrying and different techniques, it can be a little more draining than doing readings with someone in front of me. I think I did get your question. Let me just see if I can. Okay, I'll definitely focus on your question, Annette. I do see your question there. I'm going to focus on the question of, will this good fortune continue? I'm going to ask this deck that, but first I'm going to do your one card impression pull that's going to tell me where you're at energetically in the moment. Hi, Diane. Thanks for joining. Or Diana, thanks for joining. So this is for Annette. Annette, for you, I got the Devil card reversed. Now, don't fret. The Devil card does not mean like Christian devil, or it doesn't mean like evil. What it means is an adversary. And that because it's reversed, it means that you avoided some sort of conflict with an adversary. Now, adversaries don't always have to come from like another person. Sometimes it can come from like adversaries within ourselves. Or I've had an adversary come up in a reading as like drug abuse or alcohol. Or problems like that regards. So it just know that when it's reversed like this, it can mean that you avoided some sort of adversary. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. And yes, Marilyn, I am in Canada. I'm located in Guelph, Ontario, which is sort of like northwest of Toronto. Toronto, if you're from, not from the area. Welcome from New Brunswick. That's awesome. Thank you, Annette. So I think really that this is pointing out that recent avoidance of the adversary. You may still be in that energy of avoiding that adversary. So I'm focusing on your question. Will this good fortune that you've experienced continue? Will the good fortune continue? So the three cards that came up for you, one is a Higher Arcana, which is the more important message, and it's bookended by two suits. And so I'm going to start there for you, Annette. So for you, I get the Hangman reversed. Quite often, this card can come up for someone who may be feeling like they're stuck, or that they, need to be helped out of a situation, or that some rescuing may be required. When you're feeling stuck like this, it can mean like if we're feeling like lost or tied down or bound from some sort of situation or making a decision. Let me know how you resonate with that, okay, Annette? Then I'm going to focus on the next card beside that, which is the Ten of Pentacles reversed. Now, this card often comes up for someone who has inheritance, we can inherit genetics, we can inherit money, we can inherit qualities, connections with family. I get the sense that when it's reversed like this, it can mean that like a disruption to the connection in your family. Okay. So being in a rut would definitely be a description of this Hangman reversed card. If it wasn't reversed, if it was sitting this way, I would suggest that you're waiting to be sort of solved, or that it's just patience that's required. But because it's this way, it really does influence that sort of being stuck. And then the last one is the Ace of Swords reversed. Now the Ace of Swords normally looks like this, and it represents sort of this brand new idea that's coming out of the clouds and sort of a realization of a new way of thinking. When it's reversed, it can mean that that new way of thinking isn't materializing, or that there's something preventing you from getting on to this new thought process. Now, when I look at this reading and bring it back to the beginning, I could understand why this is such a challenging time for you, Annette, given that there's this avoidance of adversary that's happened, and then feeling stuck, and some sort of disconnect with your relatives or family, and then this past situation, and not being able to come up with these new ideas. That's definitely a good approach when this card comes up, is when new ideas are not forming. We can always look back at our previous experiences and those previous old ideas that could help in this to move forward. Quite definitely. I did see your comment there, Annette. I would just keep this in mind, that quite often when the card appears this way, and I get this impression that there could be something to get you on track. So like a piece of information or something gets resolved, that this flips around and suddenly you're off in this new mindset. Now I'm wondering how we can move forward to be helpful. Given this adversary and some of the interactions that are being discussed here, I'm wondering if it would be helpful to do a one-card pull from my Sacred Destiny deck. I used this deck earlier tonight to just kind of pinpoint the portion of life path that someone's walking, and I think that might be helpful for you in terms of what's happening here. Oh, I see. Oh, I'm wondering if I should do a different one then. Good luck. Okay, I'm going to change my mind, given what you've just said there. How to maintain this good luck that you're feeling, and given that there's these things that need to be sorted out. Just thinking about the best approach. I'm really going to look back at my heart chakra deck, because this deck gives great advice from what we need for ourselves, and I really think that I could ask this deck for advice, a 3-card advice pull in terms of how to maintain the good luck, because it's really what you need for yourself. And so that's what this card, or this deck really connects with well. So I think it would be a good choice to ask your question to get that advice. And so I'm just focusing on the reading right from the beginning and your energy. That was almost a flipper card. Just gonna cut the deck 3 times. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, we had one card that came up before in the night, and so I'm going to start there, but the 2 other cards are high arcana cards, which they're the more important messages of this advice pull. And one is reversed and one's not, and I'm going to talk about that. But the first one I want to focus on is the helpless and hopeless card reversed. We had this card come up already before in this way, reversed, and what it really means is, because this was an advice pull, it's really about, like, you don't need to feel helpless and hopeless. I really think that there's actually hope and help for you, Annette. Excuse me. It's drying out a little. So just know that there's hope and help available for you. Sometimes we just need to reach out for that help, or sometimes we just need to be enlightened by the hope. The next card beside that is the listen card reversed. Now, 2 represents sort of our relationship with the universe. It can often mean like looking back at the aspects of ourselves and our own human nature. And so I really feel like I think there isn't advice to listen. I think you already are. And I think it's less about listening and more about giving. So giving the perspective. If you think of it like a two-way street in communication, you listen and you speak. I really think that you don't need to listen anymore. I really think that the advice is not to listen and just follow your gut. And then the last one is the confront card. Let's see if I can get it clearer. There we go. Now 18 in numerology breaks down to a 9, which is like finding the end or the solution of a situation. And this is really about confronting your inner self. It's really about, if you believe in like shadow work, this is like the card for that. It's like confronting your inner self, your inner child. You can tell from the imagery, it's like night and day, right? And this person needs to confront their inner child. And sometimes this is referred to as like monkey mind in some energetic workers or light workers, where trying to calm your thoughts, trying to calm your mind and bring your mind to a spot where you can think more clearly or more objectively is really what's being suggested here. That you could tone it down and really decide for yourself what it is you need to work out from your internal perspective. Hi. Okay, Annette. Then I would suggest that maybe working on some of those inner parts or aspects of yourself. The reason why it's called shadow work is like working on the shadows, the parts of ourselves that we don't reveal to others, which is like symbolically shadow. And so just working out what could be happening for you internally. Hi, Brianna. Unfortunately, Annette is my last reading for tonight. If you're interested to get involved in more free readings, you could always get involved in the draw that I mentioned earlier. Go to my website, www.staffordtarot.com, and you can look at how to get involved in the next draw. The draw, I'm directing people to it because there's a high chance of winning. That it's a 1 in 5 ratio. No matter how many people get involved, I choose 1 in 5. So that means if 20 people get involved, I'm choosing 4 winners. If up to 15, I'm choosing 3. So there's always a 1 in 5 chance of winning. Yes, so Annette, shadow work is like when we work on the inner aspects of ourselves. If we've recently, like for example, if I went through a traumatic experience in my life where I had past traumas that affect my decision making today, working through those previous decisions and past traumas can help me get over that, moving forward into making the best decisions for myself today. So that's an example of one way of doing shadow work. It's just like shadow work can involve, like sometimes it can be helpful to do like journaling exercises or reflections or affirmations, or even counseling and therapy can be a type of shadow work that can be helpful in working out what's happening for us internally. Exactly what you just said there, Annette, about needing to ask for help when needed and relying on your inner voice. I really think that you could trust that more, that inner guidance. Hi, Sheila. Thanks for joining. We're just finishing up and wrapping up tonight. So unfortunately, I'm not offering any more free readings for this event, but please feel free to check out my website, staffordtarot.com, if there's any upcoming events that you'd like to get involved in, or the free draw, which is happening, I believe, next week. But check the dates on my website. There's right on the homepage, there's an upcoming events section, and I do keep that up to date. Awesome. I appreciate that, Annette. I'm glad that you understand where this reading's coming from, and I just hope that it's helped you create perspectives and new insight moving forward. So I'm going to put the cards away and thank them for their guidance and for the messages received tonight. Thank you so much, everyone who has allowed me to do readings for you. If I wasn't able to get to you tonight, I do apologize. I do have to start capping the number of readings that I'm doing on the live events, so that it doesn't extend it too long. It's already after 10:30, so it's been 2.5 hours so far. And I try to limit to like an hour or so, but I do the best I can, I suppose. I do want to give readings to everyone. I want to offer the opportunity for anyone who may not have had a reading before, or may not have experienced a reading, or perhaps there's someone who is interested in my services and they just want to get to know me a little better, or see the type of reader that I am. There's lots of reasons why it could be handy for someone to join me on a live event like this. And this is also why I post the pre-recording or the recordings on my website for anyone to view. So if you go into the blog section and you change the category to previous broadcasted recordings, you can watch all of the previous recordings that I've been doing. I've been doing these broadcasts, the Tarot Talks, for over a year now, and they're all saved on my website or on the Facebook channel as well. Thank you, Sheila. My self-retreat went extremely well. I did need a break for myself and to reconnect and re-energize, and that's exactly how that week went. It was wonderful. I'd be happy to talk about it more. So thank you for your question, Annette. I go live monthly. So my next live event will be on Tuesday, April 11th. It'll start at 8 o'clock, just like tonight. And my tarot topic, what I do is, it's the event is called Tarot Topic because I discuss a topic on tarot and then I give free readings. So while I'm waiting for people to join, I talk about like what's new and upcoming events, and then I get into the discussion. So the next tarot topic discussion will be on past life experiences. And I'm going to talk about how I can analyze past life experiences using some specific tarot decks. So the next live will be on April 11th at 8. If you're ever interested on when the events happen, just check out my website at www.staffordtarot.com, and all the information is there in the upcoming events section, including my full moon and new moon oracle pulls. If you're ever interested to receive an oracle pull, they're general public readings that are put out for everyone based on the energies of either the new moon or the full moon, and then I use specific decks to give advice for those times of year or times of season. Well, I look forward to seeing you there, Annette. Feel free to join me on April 11th. And this is the general way that the live events go, where I will just give so many free short readings to people towards the end of the live. And I hope that it's helpful to everybody. So thank you so much to everyone who allowed me to do your reading for you. If I missed you, I do apologize. Please reach out to me on my website, staffordtarot.com. And that is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next live. Yes. Sorry, Annette. Thank you for reminding me of that. International time zones. It is Eastern Standard Time because my local location is Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Any other questions, just reach out to me or visit my website. I do keep that website very up to date. And so any information that needs to be shared will be on the website. Thank you so much, and take good care, everyone. Have a good night.